What is good, guys? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'll break down what's happening with the overall market thus far. What's happening with Tesla is we also have some new headlines that just came out, and a very, very big test that's coming, in my honest opinion. Before we get into devil's information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am personally not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull and deposit $500, you're guaranteed 20 free stocks. If you deposit $25,000 or more, you're guaranteed 75 of them. And the offer ends very, very soon in just 3 weeks. Anyways, when looking at Tesla right now, Tesla has a very, very slight uptrend that's been respected for the last day and a half. And now we're approaching this resistance right here very close to this imbalance. Tesla is showing some strength. It could push a little bit more, but you want to be very, very careful as we approach this resistance. Now, for today, I just want to call this out. Right now, the consumer inflationary expectations are very close to expectations, a little bit above the forecast, but still super, super close at 3%. And the bill auctions are very, very close as well to what we got previously. So nothing has really changed. We do have Cash Card giving a speech later on for today. So we'll see what he says and how he ends up affecting the markets. There's not much data coming out for tomorrow, but don't forget that for Wednesday, we have CPI coming out. That's going to be very, very important. On top of all of this, when it comes to news about Tesla, I'm not really seeing much coming out besides the headlines I already talked about, but there's been a lot of talk about Tesla's net price decreases and also how their sales are looking. So we're seeing some headlines coming out talking about how Tesla's Model 3 demand is strong, but the production in the US was limited due to ramping issues related to the Highland refresh. Not to mention the Model 3 lost a federal tax credit, which was kind of like against Tesla's favor. And most people don't really know about the fact that Tesla prices have dropped. Now that they're advertising more and more people will find out. But I do agree with some of the points being made here, because when you think about what Tesla's been doing, Tesla has a lot of really, really interesting features, lots of improvements, and a lot of people don't really realize how a lot of these benefits really work, because I know a lot of people that may have actually thought that the FSD was just simply a driving assist tool, which you see on other cars out there. They don't realize that it actually drives the car for you. A lot of people don't really realize that still. And I'm not just talking about one or two people. I'm talking about millions of people that don't truly know everything about Tesla's capabilities. So to me, I just think that what Tesla could do better is trying to get more of their functions and their safety features out there, try to advertise as much as they can to get more people involved. And I think that that could be very, very useful for them, because it's not just about, trying to sell cars, but I think what starts first is trying to get more people to understand their product. I think that's going to be a big part of getting more sales. They're going to start off with just kind of getting people more knowledgeable first before we end up focusing on anything else. I think that's going to be the key for Tesla. That's going to be what leads to more sales and such during times like these. Now, with the high interest rates, that's also making things a lot more difficult for Tesla. But at least for the long term, being able to have a product and being able to advertise it in a very, very understandable fashion will be a lot more key for them. With Tesla, there's all this talk about the $25,000 EV. I think that's going to be very, very awesome for the future, but we'll see when Tesla ends up announcing this. That's going to take some time as well. So for my personal opinion, I think that there is some optimism for Tesla, considering the fact that we have new announcements coming out for August. But for the short term, I would still be very careful, because we have some short-term catalysts such as CPI that could affect the whole market, including Tesla. From a technical standpoint, we are technically bullish, making higher highs and higher lows as of right now. But we're approaching this imbalance resistance very close to this 175 zone. We came very close to it, so we're still testing that resistance, and we'll have to see how Tesla does. So watch resistance as we approach that 175 zone, very close to it, and watch our support currently at 172.5. That is right where our EMA happens to be right here, our 200 EMA. If we lose this, we could sink all the way back down to 170.8. And if we lose that, look for a move back down to 167.8. Resistance watch 175. If we break through that, look for a push towards 177.6, followed by 180. Now, from a technical standpoint, this is still bullish. So it looks like even if Tesla does fall a little bit, could drop it a little bit more from here and retest 172.5. It's still a possibility, but Tesla could still try to bounce and push higher towards this imbalances. I do see potential for it to go even higher, but just be careful as Tesla tries to push, because the resistance gets tougher as we get closer to 175 or so. The last time we barely broke above 175, we got a rejection, so just be very careful. For SPY, it's pretty much just range bound. If you guys kind of look at this as consolidating right now, we were stuck between basically 518. We did drop a little bit below that before getting bought back up. So 518 has been the main support for the day. Maybe not like every single moment of the day, but for the most part, we've been holding above 518. Then we have resistance at 520, back and forth pretty much all day. We're just range bound. We could continue like this going into tomorrow until we get CPI, unless we break 520 and try to push a little higher. But then we'll have to see what happens with CPI. That's going to cause a much bigger move. Otherwise, SPY is just completely range bound for the time being. There's not really a whole lot going on with it. For the QQQ, it's the same thing. It's been stuck between 440 as support and 442 as resistance, going back and forth and back and forth. Another range on it has been established, and we'll have to see what it does. But for now, it's kind of stuck, and I think it's very probable we just remain in this range for the time being. For Nvda, it's on a slight downtrend. It actually kind of popped to just under 892. I was calling 892. We actually went up to 890, and then since then, it's been slowing down a little bit. We're barely holding our support at 872. If we lose this, I'm going to be looking for a move back down to about 868, eventually 862 below that. Nvidia is showing a little bit of weakness, guys, so just be careful. This does have potential to drop a little bit more. For Apple, Apple's on a bit of a downtrend as well, exactly as we predicted. Going to be looking at support around 168.25 to 168.5. We'll see how it does. It's been shopping a bit, but slowly downtrending. Our key resistance is going to be around 169.12. As of right now, Apple's looking a bit more bearish, so just be careful, and we'll see how it goes for the short term. For Supermicro, we're just kind of shuffling as well. We held 900 as support. We have resistance around 943 and also at 930. As of right now, it's just been going back and forth and back and forth. But that's just for the short term. For the bigger trend, for the last couple of days/weeks, it's been on a bigger downtrend. There is a risk of this dropping even lower, all the way down to 850 if we lose 900. So far, we're barely holding support, but the trend is still more in favor of the bears. For AMD is technically just trading kind of flat right over here within this range, but we're trying to break above our 20 EMA, excuse me. So we're going to be looking at resistance at 170.75. If we break this, watch 172. If we lose 170, look for a move back down to about 168. But overall, it's still holding up well. Coinbase is also holding up well. Came down a bit, now it's getting bought back up. Watch this resistance right over here at 262, or a little bit under that, and also at 258. We have support currently around 253. If we lose that, watch 251. If we lose that, we turn a lot more bearish. Otherwise, we're still looking bullish on Coinbase. We're still trying to push higher, so it's still holding up. Looking at Meta, we're coming down a bit. Watch support at 518.5 and see if we get a bounce off here. We should get a reaction. If we lose 518, we turn a lot more bearish, but I think it might try to bounce off 518.5, so watch for that. Same thing with Amazon. Amazon's holding 185.58. If we lose that, we could come down to 184.23, but off one of those supports, it should bounce, so we'll just have to wait and see. Anyways, that is it for your very, very quick intraday updates. Tesla is still holding up well, showing some life. SPY and the QQQ are kind of range bound, and the other tickers out there are kind of dipping a bit, but we're going to be looking at the support to see if they can try to bounce. With that being said, thank you all so much for listening. Have a great day. I'll see you guys in just a few hours. Tesla to the moon because the long term is very bright, and peace out.